The majority of Olmstead's childhood was spent in Morenci, Arizona. With a population right around 1,500, the eastern Arizona city is home to the largest copper mine in North America.
Yeah, thanks you guys, and as we all know, the last time these two teams played each other this season, it was a bit like a whirlwind. By no means is Christy Brown a stay-at-home fan. Her passion has lent her to see two sides of the Arizona Cardinals franchise, both as a gawking fan driving past the Arizona Cardinals training center in Tempe, to a cheerleader on the sidelines and a season ticket holder in the stands at State Farm Stadium in Glendale. Where does the journey take her next? Canton, Ohio, where she'll be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Season 1 was a trial year to see how all the pieces fit. Years 2 and 3 had the Sun Devils working out the kinks. And while each resulted in NCAA championship berths, year 4 has ASU working like a well-oiled machine, with the potential of being their best season yet. Since his return, Graham has recorded 3 double-doubles and is playing more like a traditional big man, with his head above the rim. One of World Vision's main priorities is providing impoverished communities with access to clean water, something most Americans take for granted. Now this week, Baker's expected to play. In practices, he's worn a hard-cast protective covering over his entire right hand. It's been wrapped up super tight, similar to what he's supposed to be wearing against the New York Jets. How do they get back to their winning ways? There haven't been a ton of answers, but practice is where it all starts. Now at 6-6, entering week 14, one thing is certain: the floor has risen. The Arizona Cardinals have become somewhat of a pipeline for homegrown Arizona State talent in recent years. Take a look at the current roster and you'll find some familiar faces. Remember running backs Eno Benjamin, DJ Foster, and kicker Zane Gonzalez? What would you do if one of your lifelong idols came knocking on your door?
And there was just this banging, this knocking at the door, and I was like, geez, Amazon, what's going on?
What Christy Brown thought was a package delivery turned out to be Pro Football Hall of Famer Aeneas Williams.
Hi, Christy. My name's Aeneas Williams, Pro Football Hall of Fame.
And I open the door, and there's Aeneas Williams standing there, and I could not speak. I was trying to get out words, and it was just all mumbling and screaming. There's a Hall of Famer, someone that you've grown up watching your entire life play football, and he's standing right in front of you.
Williams' visit was no random house call. He was nominating the former Arizona Cardinals cheerleader to the Ford Hall of Fans competition, which is essentially the Pro Football Hall of Fame for fandom.
It was fantastic knocking on her door, and no one should beat Christy. But just being there and seeing her woman cave with all the Cardinal gear, it just reminded me how fortunate the current players are at the new stadium, Michael Bidwell, to have fans like Christy.
In 3 years, the contest has never had a Cardinals representative as a finalist. No longer. Christy is in the final 3, and she will attend Super Bowl 55 as a reward.
When they can have one of their very own from Arizona Cardinal fan, Red Sea, to be in the Hall of Fame, it's amply fitted. She would represent the Arizona Cardinals in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Ironically, this year's big game is in the same stadium where the Cardinals lost in Super Bowl 43, a day Brown remembers well.
I have been to Tampa, and I've been to the same stadium which I'm going, which is so funny. It was incredible being there, but incredibly sad.
This time around, Brown is hoping for a different experience in Tampa, even under different circumstances. Mason Kern, Cronkite News. The resurgence of the men's tennis team at Arizona State began with a simple vision: restore what was once a perennially competitive program back to national relevancy. At the time of its reinstatement in 2016, it had been 8 years since ASU housed a men's team. Matt Hill left his head coaching post at South Florida to build a new in Tempe, a process that started from scratch.
There was nothing here, so there was nothing tangible to sell or give them or show them. And that makes it hard to build a culture off that initial mindset, but it was to get anyone in the door. There was really no other way to frame it.
That first year, it's very hard to recruit someone, and they ask you, oh, well, what do you guys ranked? Who's on the team? And you're like, well, you'd be the first one, right? And so it's very hard to recruit someone when there is such a big gap in the history.
By 2018, a decade after the sport was cut at ASU, Hill assembled a scholarship roster of Sun Devils that was purely from international waters. The university was so determined to revive the program that its athletic director, Ray Anderson, and his wife, Buffy, contributed $1 million of their own money to kickstart the reinstatement. Adidas pledged an additional $4 million, and by January of 2018, the team played its first match back as a varsity sport at ASU.
With $5 million, we knew we had the wherewithal to bring back the program, and knew that we could fund it for 10 to 12 years. It's a wonderful sport, great opportunities, and ASU men's tennis had a great run up until 2008.
4 years later, 3 players remain on ASU's current roster that also debuted the inaugural team. Andrea Bolla out of Italy, Tim Rule, Germany, and Maki Rakatamalala, France, each came to Tempe from different parts of the world. Now, they've established a culture of brotherhood that set the precedent for how ASU men's tennis will operate after they depart.
We call those guys the OGs. You know, they were the original guys that helped start everything up. And no, they're super, super special. It's definitely going to be an incredibly emotional moment, I would say, for me, when we get to the fruition of this season and those guys are graduating.
That was also one of the reasons why I came here, because I thought it's just so exciting to join a program like that where we basically start from zero, and 4 years later we are a top 20 team in the nation.
Rakatamalala has an especially significant place in the school's history books. He registered the first ASU point since reinstatement in the team's debut match against Duke in 2018. Later, he clinched the team's first overall win with a singles victory against Loyola Marymount.
I'm very grateful, that I had this opportunity, It's not even just tennis, it's beyond that, It's a new life, basically, a second family, that, ASU gave me.
Yeah, at the beginning, especially my freshman year, I didn't realize how important was that to bring back a program. But, I mean, for sure, it's being able to bring back a program, especially with so many guys coming from Europe, it's been for sure special.
Season 1 was a trial year to see how all the pieces fit. Years 2 and 3 had the Sun Devils working out the kinks. And while each resulted in NCAA championship berths, year 4 has ASU working like a well-oiled machine, with the potential of being their best season yet.
We're not unrealistic in our expectations, but we know that we will get to the point where year in and year out, we're going to be a top 5 program. Competing for Pac-12 and hopefully national championships on a more regular basis than has ever been accomplished at ASU, certainly.
The Sun Devils are currently in the midst of their best season yet and reached a program high number 17 in the Oracle ITA rankings. After qualifying for both NCAA championships since coming back, the bar is steadily rising. As ASU prepares to usher in a new era of men's tennis when the OGs inevitably depart, the culture they've implemented over the course of 4 years will last indefinitely.
ASU meant a lot for me, and I didn't expect for ASU to have that big of an impact that it actually has on me and will have on my life.
Just like the university has imprinted its own mark on each of their lives too. From the Whiteman Tennis Center in Tempe, Mason Kern, Cronkite Sports Report. In a forgettable year for ASU men's basketball, John Olmstead focused on maximizing his opportunities.
Obviously, just to be able to score like that as my first points, it's very exciting. I told myself before the game, just kind of whenever I got the ball down there, just go up and dunk everything.
Olmstead's debut bucket was validating and is representative of his journey to Tempe. Grinding in silence with little expectations, he received a tangible reward, a posterizing dunk fit for home decor.
I told him afterwards, I said that you kind of set the bar pretty high for your first college points to start with that. I've had several people tell me the same thing. Yeah, you ought to make a poster out of that.
Growing up in Morenci, Arizona, separated by stints living in Chile, the thought of playing college basketball wasn't top of Olmstead's mind. but a stellar prep career in a small town led schools to finding him.
I had other opportunities, obviously, but what really kind of hooked me to here was they were showing love to me all the time. It was just the love, and then also just being able to play for Bobby Hurley. I mean, he's one of the greatest players in the history of the game.
The majority of Olmstead's childhood was spent in Morenci, Arizona. With a population right around 1,500, the eastern Arizona city is home to the largest copper mine in North America.
I got used to small town life. There's a lot less people. You kind of know everybody. It's more of a connected community.
Olmstead's father, Josh, was educated as a mining engineer and began his career in Morenci. The industry took the Olmsted family international and back, but the small Arizona town will always be home.
Morenci, it's a neat little town in the sense that it's pretty small, like you said, but at the same time, everybody knows everybody, which makes it kind of nice because you can create some really good close friendships with people.
And now Olmsted is forging friendships in Tempe, getting buckets, and repping his hometown at the Power 5 level.
It feels good just being able to represent Arizona, and especially a small town in Arizona.
Thank you for stopping to observe the Morenci mine.
In Morenci, Mason Kern, Cronkite News.
Wrap, drive, good.
With his junior season in disarray, Shaquan Bowser spent the last year honing his skills on the gridiron. The Castile High defender was preparing for a recruitment process that still remains uncertain.
Oh man, I was devastated, bro. I was so devastated.
The recruiting dead period began last March, with the NCAA throwing out its traditional calendar. It prevented prep athletes from interacting with college campuses in person, restricting to a completely virtual system.
We're considering just touring the campus in general and not just the facility, which is a bummer, but it is what it is.
When will it end? Recruits are asking the same question. The deadline has been extended 8 times and is currently scheduled to stop at the end of May.
Everyone who I really talk to is, either my class or lower, and we're all in the same boat right now, and we're all starting to figure out, this confusing time.
Prospects can still take unofficial trips to college campuses, just without access to any facilities. Both sides are continuing to learn to adapt to an online recruiting process.
Colleges have been great in doing virtual visits, virtual tours with players that they're interested in. And players can always go online, and there's so many things online right now that you can get a feel for a campus, but there's nothing like being on the campus and getting a feel for the town that you're in.
Like, you don't just randomly go up and go to different states, so we kind of have to plan ahead. But we also don't want to go and tour the campus just so the dead period can be lifted.
The recruiting landscape was reshaped with the class of 2021. Bowser and the rest of the 2022 recruits now have to navigate the continued uncertainty through National Signing Day in February of 2022. In Queen Creek, Mason Kern, Cronkite News. Look at Buda Baker, and what do you see? Either way, it's probably different than Larry Fitzgerald's view.
He plays the game of football like he's 6'4", 280 pounds.
For Baker, it's about heart over height. After all, he's listed at just 5'10" and 195 pounds. Yet, compare his contract to other safeties in the league, and you won't find a single one that makes more money than he does.
I've been with Buda since he got drafted here. A phenomenal player, means a lot to this defense. He can do things that, most players around this league can't do.
His impact extends well beyond just the team's defense.
Nobody means more to this football team than Buda Baker. You can take that to the bank.
It can be argued that nobody is more important to what the Cardinals do in the safety room than Buda Baker. It was evident last week as the Pro Bowler missed while recovering from surgery to repair a torn ulnar collateral ligament in his right thumb. Now this week, Baker's expected to play. In practices, he's worn a hard-cast protective covering over his entire right hand. It's been wrapped up super tight, similar to what he's supposed to be wearing against the New York Jets.
It's definitely restricted being a DB. I like to use my hands, but then again, I got 4 other fingers. I'm not going to be able to use the thumb because it's going to be in a cast. It's just going to be mostly my left hand and then my right fingers without my thumb.
Baker played through the thumb UCL tear in Week 3 against Detroit, but surgery kept him out of Week 4. The Cardinals lost both games, but confidence is high with Baker back in the lineup for Week 5.
Buda being back this week will definitely make us all feel better. I mean, he's one of the best players in the league and brings a lot of things on and off the field to our locker room.
While his presence will certainly boost Arizona's secondary performance, Baker's teammates and coaches are just happy to have him back in the locker room.
This guy is, you know, the best of the best, you know, as a human being, as a football player, as a teammate, and I love him. I know his teammates all feel the same way about him, and we're very privileged to have him back on the field with us.
Reporting from Tempe, Mason Kern, Sports Illustrated.
And gentlemen, I'm very excited for what we have in store here.
Super excited, guys. You know, I actually got you a couple of treats. You know, I'm so excited to be back on the show.
Nice.
Jack-o'-lantern for you,
Fire me
Quinn.
up, Mason.
Pumpkin for you. Got a little caramel chocolate here for me. So it's going to be an exciting show. Let's get it started. While those prospects make a push to the pros, the next generation of professional bull riders competed in Arizona last week. The Southern Arizona Junior Bull Riders Association event was held in Tucson, and many kids took part. Cronkite News reporter Autumn Thompson takes us out of the chute and onto the dirt. At this time last year, postseason basketball tournaments were being shut down due to COVID-19. Now, measures are being taken to ensure their completion. Yet it's much bigger than basketball. Back in January, the Arizona Cardinals turned State Farm Stadium into a 24/7 coronavirus vaccination site, and yesterday it hit a milestone. The home of the Red Sea officially administered its 500,000th vaccine. To celebrate the landmark achievement, Governor Doug Ducey, Big Red, and some team cheerleaders surrounded 77-year-old Surprise native Judith Beaulieu after she received the site's 500,000th shot. What do you get when you combine 2 top 30 national recruits, a 4-star Ukrainian, and a 6'9" rim grazer? Mix all those ingredients up, and the result is the number 7 recruiting class in the nation. While Darby focuses on overcoming personal adversity, a prep soccer star at Phoenix Northwest Christian is facing obstacles of his own. Cronkite News reporter Madden Johnstone Thomas shares how setbacks aren't stopping the future Tiger. As the Cardinals make preparations for draft day, college prospects hoping to hear their name called are doing the same. Arizona State is holding its pro day with NFL scouts in attendance on Monday, March 29th inside the Dickey Dome. Former Sun Devil wide receiver Frank Darby will be the team's sole participant at the event. While COVID-19 gave him the opportunity to come back to school for a 6th season, the New Jersey native opted to turn pro. Darby was injured in ASU's first game of the shortened 2020 season against USC and played in just 2 of the team's 4 games. He was still one of 323 players invited to the 2021 NFL Combine. The Herm train is filling up. And while it hasn't quite left the station, ASU is up to 19 public commits in its 2020 class, out of a maximum 25 scholarships allowed. Hope you enjoyed this Tuesday edition of Cronkite Sports Now. For everyone involved, I'm Mason Kern, and make sure you're plugged right back in here on Wednesday.